the best flower for pollinators, skin, and companion planting. Hey there, fellow garden enthusiasts. Welcome back to EcoAlchemy. Today we're diving into the wonderful world of calendula, a flower that's as practical as it is beautiful. Think of it as your garden's best friend, always there to lend a helping hand. You might know it as pot marigold, but trust me, this plant is so much more than just a pretty face. Calendula attracts pollinators, repels pesky garden pests, and even offers skin healing, edible petals you can use in teas, salves, or salads. Ready to unlock its secrets? In this episode, we're going to cover everything you need to know to grow calendula from seed to bloom. We'll explore the best time to plant, the perfect spot to put it, and how to harvest and use it like a pro. Whether you're a seasoned gardener or just starting out, you're sure to learn something new. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Let's get our hands dirty. Calendula is truly a jack of all trades in the garden. It's easy to grow, surprisingly cold tolerant, and has a knack for self-seeding. Plus, it's useful in more ways than most people realize. It's technically an annual, but in many climates, it behaves more like a short-lived perennial, popping back up year after year from dropped seeds. Think of it as a gift that keeps on giving. It's a fantastic way to add color, attract beneficial insects, and even create your own natural remedies. What's not to love? Let's start with planting. Calendula can be direct sown or started indoors, depending on your climate and timing. If your last frost date is still a few weeks away, start seeds inside 6 to 8 weeks early. This gives them a head start and ensures a longer blooming season. Otherwise, you can sow seeds directly in the garden 1 to 2 weeks before your last frost date. It tolerates cool weather like a champ. Don't be afraid to get those seeds in the ground early. Plant seeds about 1/4 inch deep in loose, well-draining soil. Calendula likes full sun but will tolerate light shade, especially in hotter zones. Ideal germination temps are around 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and you'll usually see sprouts within 7 to 10 days. Be patient, and you'll be rewarded with tiny green shoots in no time. Once seedlings are a few inches tall, thin them to about 8 to 12 inches apart. Calendula likes space to branch out, and better airflow means fewer issues with mildew. It does great in raised beds, borders, containers, and even mixed into vegetable beds as a companion plant. Give them room to breathe and flourish. Calendula isn't too picky about soil, but it thrives in moderately rich, slightly loamy soil with good drainage. You don't want heavy clay or soggy roots. Amend your soil with compost if needed to improve drainage and fertility. It doesn't need a ton of fertilizer. In fact, overfeeding it can reduce flower production. A little compost or a balanced organic fertilizer at planting time is usually all it needs. Remember, less is often more when it comes to fertilizing calendula. One of the best things about calendula is how low maintenance it is. Water when the top inch of soil is dry, and mulch around the base to retain moisture and suppress weeds. A good layer of mulch will work wonders. Once established, calendula is somewhat drought tolerant, though regular watering helps it bloom continuously. Keep an eye on the soil moisture, especially during hot, dry spells. If you want to maximize blooms, be sure to deadhead regularly. That means snipping off spent flowers to encourage new ones. This keeps the plant focused on producing more flowers instead of going to seed. It's like giving your calendula a little pep talk. However, if you want it to self-sow for next season, let a few blooms mature and dry out on the plant near the end of its cycle. Nature will take care of the rest, and you'll have a delightful surprise next spring. Calendula blooms 30 to 45 days after planting and keeps going for months, especially if you keep harvesting. The flowers open in the morning and close in the evening or on cloudy days, one of its charming quirks. The more you pick, the more it blooms. So, get out there and harvest those beautiful flowers. And let's talk about those petals. They're not just pretty, they're edible and medicinal. Calendula petals can be added to salads, soups, herbal teas, or used to infuse oils for homemade salves and lotions. Get creative and experiment with different ways to use them. To harvest for use, pick flowers in the late morning after the dew dries but before the sun gets too hot. This is when the petals are at their peak potency. For fresh use, simply rinse and enjoy. To dry them, lay flowers face down in a single layer on a screen or tray in a dark, dry place. Make sure they're not touching each other to prevent mold. Once dry, store them in an airtight jar away from sunlight to preserve their healing compounds. Medicinally, calendula has been used for centuries to soothe skin, treat wounds, and reduce inflammation. It's packed with flavonoids and antioxidants that support healing. It's like having a natural first aid kit right in your garden. If you're into herbalism or homemade body care, this is a staple you'll come back to again and again. From soothing skin balms to calming teas, the possibilities are endless. In the garden, calendula serves multiple functions. It attracts pollinators like bees and butterflies, draws in hoverflies and parasitic wasps that prey on aphids, and helps repel pests like whiteflies and nematodes. It's a true garden ally. Plant it near brassicas, tomatoes, and lettuces for a natural layer of pest protection. Your vegetables will thank you. Calendula also makes a great companion for other flowers. Its golden color pairs beautifully with blue and purple blooms, and it creates a welcoming, wild cottage garden feel when mixed in with herbs and veggies. It adds a touch of whimsy and charm to any garden space. If you let calendula go to seed, the seeds are super easy to collect. They look like little crescent moons and are ready when they're dry and dark. Just pluck them off and store them in a cool, dry place for planting next season, or let them drop naturally for a surprise bloom next spring. Saving seeds is a rewarding way to connect with your garden and ensure a continuous supply of these wonderful flowers. There are a few varieties to explore, too. Racina is often used for medicinal purposes because of its high resin content. Pacific Beauty and Orange King are gorgeous for borders and containers. And Touch of Red Buff brings a unique pastel touch to any garden. Experiment with different varieties to find your favorites and add a unique touch to your garden. To sum it up, calendula is hardy, helpful, beautiful, and endlessly useful. It's the kind of plant that works hard behind the scenes while lighting up your garden with cheerful blooms, and it asks for so little in return. It's a true testament to the power of nature. If you've never grown it, now's the perfect time to give it a try. You won't regret it. Let me know in the comments. Have you ever used calendula in teas, skincare, or cooking? Or do you grow it just for the blooms? I'd love to hear your favorite ways to use this magical plant. Share your experiences and inspire others to discover the wonders of calendula. And if you found this episode helpful, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. We're building an incredible plant library here, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Join our community of passionate gardeners and let's grow together. Till next time, keep your hands dirty and your hearts in the garden. Go out there, plant some calendula, and watch the magic unfold.